Today we're going to get to start printmaking. And printmaking is really cool. It's really neat because it's something that we carve into either a foam plate or a wooden block, and we're just going to carve it in there. What's really neat about printmaking is it's kind of like a stamp. And you can just print it over and over and over. And like I said, you can use foam or rubber, like these rubber stamps, or wood, and you can carve into it. So we're going to start off with a piece of paper, because the first thing we're going to need to do is make a design. You can see that our foam plate isn't the same size as a full sheet of paper. So we're going to take our paper, we're going to fold it in half. Then we're going to fold it down like this. So now it's about the size of the foam plate. It's pretty close. And we got to come up with a design. I've written the elements of art here on this foam plate, and I'll show you in a second why we don't need to use letters. You don't want to use letters because letters are all going to wind up becoming backwards. It's going to be reverse of that. I'll show you that in a second.
So if I was to ink up this foam plate here using these that has letters on it, and I really got to smooth out my ink whenever I do this. I want to have a nice smooth layer of ink on this. So if I take a piece of paper here, push this off to the side. If I take my piece of paper and I stamp down my elements of art,
you can see it's backwards. All the letters are in reverse. The elements of art are line, color, value, shape, or space, texture, form, and shape.
so line, color, value, space, texture, form, and shape are our elements of art. But when it's over here, you can see that they're all backwards and you can't read them. So we don't want to use letters unless we can draw them backwards, and we don't want to mess with that today. I can show you another time on how you can make that work, but we're not going to mess with that today. Let me get a paper towel here.
We're going to be using the element of art called line, and we're going to be creating contour line to create a simple design. We want it to be simple because everything that we have here, we've got to carve into a foam plate. And you can also see that sometimes the details of it don't show up well. I created this drawing, and I carved it onto this foam plate, and I printed it here. You can see how it's going to be kind of grainy. It's not going to be perfect. So I need all of my lines to be simple without too much detail. So let's look at some things that we could create. A simple Lubbock Cooper Pirates flag here would work, or even a simple emoji. Notice though I did not color in the eye or the tongue. There will be no coloring. It's going to be simple contour lines, the outside outline of things. This is starting to get too small, but I think this would still work. The mouth here might kind of start to run together. This bird here is nice, simple lines. Nothing's too close together. The tail, the lines might be too close together, but I think it could work. Here's a nice flower, coffee mug. These lines might be too close together. You want the lines to not be too close. A good simple cat and pineapple. This one, the lines are definitely getting too close together. Although this might work on a rubber plate, on a rubber stamp, on a foam stamp, these lines are too close. It's too detailed. This one, it has too much going on. There's too much. I can't tell the difference between the well and the sky and the ocean. It just has too much going on. So you want it to be good and simple. You don't want to have too much. So here's one that's pretty simple, like a minion. But here, this rooster, it has so much going on that it just probably wouldn't work. Although this might work on a rubber stamp, on the foam stamp, the lines are just too close together. Okay? So let me pick one here. Once we have our drawing down on a piece of paper, we will take this and I'll probably tape yours on, so I could probably put a piece of tape here so that it doesn't move. But I'm just going to be really careful and hold it with my hand. I'm going to make sure that it's right in the middle here. Find the middle of that foam plate. Okay, then I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to press down kind of hard, not so hard that it tears through the paper, but I'm going to be pressing down so that it creates an indentation onto that foam. And this triangle on the inside of the ear might be too close to the other lines for it to work. But I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Now that I've traced all of the lines on my paper, I'm going to take a peek before I take the tape off. I'm going to take a peek at it and make sure I can see it. And if I look closely, you can see that all the indentions are there. So I can take it off. Let me move this here. Let me zoom in a little bit more so I can show you in detail. Once I have this here, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to go over this a couple times using my pen. So you can see here, I want the line to be nice and wide. So I'm even going to turn it this way and I'm going to go over it one more time, making that line nice and thick and wide and looking right.
You really want it to be a nice clean line that doesn't have any indentions here.
Okay, now that I have all of it, now that I've gone over all of it, I'm going to go over it a second time so that it makes it even deeper. I can see here that it's kind of deep, but I'm going to make each one of these lines deeper and wider. I want to be careful not to rip through the foam, so I'm going over it not too hard to rip through the foam, but I'm trying to make it wider, each line wider. So if I kind of put the pen here and press it down that way, that'll help make it wider. Okay, I have gone over my foam plate 3 times, and I've gone over it and all the lines are nice and deep. So now I'm going to ink it. Now what's really neat about a foam plate is you can ink it more than once, and so you can do this over and over and over. So I'm using my brayer to spread the ink. I want to get a nice sticky layer that's kind of shiny everywhere, and I don't want to have too much ink on there, but I also want to have a nice sticky layer on the whole foam plate.
I can see now that the whole foam plate has a nice shiny layer to it, and it's kind of sticky everywhere. There's not too much, there's no clumps anywhere, but it has a nice layer over the whole thing. So if I was to take this and stamp it down,
I want to get it right in the middle. I'm just going to press down. You don't have to press really hard, and you don't have to bang on it. You're just going to press it the whole thing everywhere just one time, and then take it and pull it up. Pressing it harder is not going to help it at all. So you just want to make sure that it's pressed everywhere with one good medium press, not really hard, not soft. You can see that there's going to be some spots where it's not perfect. That's why it's nice that I have a nice simple design. You can also see here where the eye is, the lines were too close and they kind of run together. That just shows you that you really can't have a lot of detail in these foam plates with the technique that we're using. So if I was to put a background on this, it might make it too busy.
so maybe I wanted to have some wind here, and a little bit would be okay. So if I just did a little bit, it might work like this. But the busier and busier you make your background or the inside of your drawing, then the sloppier it's going to look. Because it's going to get too busy. It's going to have too much going on. So you want to get a nice, simple design without a lot going on. That's part of having contour lines. So let's ink this one again. We're going to use our brayer and our ink to ink this up. And we're going to look and see what it looks like with that background. Something that's really cool about printmaking is that you can print each one on a different color paper, and it gives it a different look. some artists use different color inks to give it a different look as well. Okay, I see here that there's clumps of ink right here, and that's not good, so I need to spread that out. Maybe go different directions with it. I don't want too much ink or it's not going to work. I want it to be sticky everywhere, not clumping up. So let's look at this next one. Going to press it right in the middle. I'm not going to move it once it touches. I'm not going to move it. I'm just going to press straight down everywhere. Be careful not to get your fingerprints all over the paper.
Okay, you can see here that it's starting to get too busy. It's starting to get busy and a little sloppy looking. It's not as clean looking as this one is. So if we look at them side by side, I like this one more. It's not quite as busy. It doesn't have as much going on. But let's say that you really wanted to put a lot of details into this, and you put details on the inside of the cat.
That look like this. And you put lines here, and you really put a lot in the background. And it's not just a simple design anymore. Let's say that you wanted to put some lines on the inside here, maybe you wanted to double line on the tail, and you really wanted a lot of background lines. And you wanted something here. Maybe even some grass. If we had it look like that, let's ink it again, and let's see what it looks like now that it's so busy. It has too much going on, I can already tell. It has a lot going on. Too much in the background. Too many details, and the lines are too close. So let's take a look. Okay, it's all nice and sticky. Let's get a different color paper this time. I'm going to press it right in the middle. I'm going to press it everywhere. I'm not going to take all day, but I am going to press it down everywhere. So now that I can see it's stuck down everywhere, I can take a corner and peel it up.
It looks really good against that blue background, but now it just has too many lines. I can't tell what's happening in the picture.